What's up, everybody? Willie and Tony here from Ricoma, and we're coming at you with another embroidery design review video. We did one a few weeks ago where Willie and I sit down, we look over people's work that they submitted through our Facebook group, Embroidery and Custom Apparel Mastery. They used hashtag #RateMyWork, so if you want to get a critique from Willie and I, use hashtag #RateMyWork. Learning from each other and learning from masters in the business like Willie here is a great way to master the craft. And this is kind of a digitized and stitch out sort of all-in-one sort of critique. We are giving a 3-month subscription away to Hoopmade.com. That's for the person in the comments below who can provide a really nice critique for somebody that somebody can learn from. The way that we're going to be rating the designs that we're reviewing today is we have 1 through 5 stars. 1 star is this person needs to learn the fundamentals a little bit better. There's ways to do that. You can go to our YouTube channel, watch our Embroidery Hub episodes that Willie creates. We also have training available 7 days a week, so you can give us a call. We have video chat options. We have a great team here at Ricoma that are available to guide you. And if you have a Ricoma machine, that is available to you for free. 2-star rating would be with a little bit of work, just a little bit of fine tuning, a little bit of fine adjustments. This thing is ready to be shipped to a client or ready for professional purposes, but it's not quite there yet. So if you get a 3-star, this is just considered like professional quality. It's good to go to a client. 4 stars would be something a little bit more above and beyond. This is something that's potentially good to go on a portfolio, good to go on your website. So we got a 5-star rating. That's basically for somebody that has a world-class piece of embroidery or piece of custom apparel. All right, let's go ahead and get started. This one is from Amber Huto. She says, 46,886 stitches, 1.5 hours, 0 thread breaks, MT1501, auto digitized on Chroma Plus. Please rate my work. And it looks to be just like a cartoon character on a jean jacket. It's a pretty, it's an average size design. When I look at this, I don't see anything kind of glaring out to me that I'm worried about. But what do you think?
All right, so right off the back, you said auto digitizing. Auto digitizing, you would still have to go in there and make some adjustments when you're doing auto digitizing. And a lot of times when it comes out really good, it's when you're doing simple designs. I bet you had to do some kind of adjustments because it looks right off the back, like you said, it looks really nice. Now, I love the fact that you use some kind of shades on the skin. So you have, as you can see here, you have a little lighter thread, and then right under the neck, you have a little darker thread to make it, really nice and kind of like stand out a lot with that shade. So that looks really nice. Another thing that I noticed is that you don't have any registration issues. So you definitely used the right stabilizer and obviously the right hoop as well, because you made an outline around the hair that a lot of times when you're doing a big design like this, even if you're doing it on a jean jacket, it doesn't matter. A lot of times you will get some registration issues if you do not have the right stabilizer. So this was done really well. And even though it's auto digitizing, I know you had to go in there and play around with some things. So I have to say this will be a 4.0 for me.
4 stars. Yeah. So this is a little bit better than regular client work. This is something that maybe they could show to people as like, hey, this is an example of my work.
They could put this in their portfolio.
Yeah, sure. On their website.
Yeah.
What makes it kind of portfolio ready to you? Just the kind of the clean quality of it?
Yeah, it's just the fact that there's nothing really that stands out that I can say is there's anything that's bad. On top of that, it is a cartoon, but being a cartoon, you still were able to add some kind of like shade, right under the neck, and that's pretty neat.
You mentioned auto digitizing and how this is kind of a complicated design for auto digitizing. Mm-hmm. What is kind of the most common auto digitizing?
So when you're doing auto digitizing, you're basically doing like letters. You're doing, let's say, for example, regular emoji, like a happy face, some things that are very simple and don't have a lot of overlays. In this case, you have, a lot of different types of stitches that's been used here. And a lot of times it's a small design just because of the density that it auto digitizes it to. And there's a lot of factors that goes into it. So when you're doing auto digitize, you always have to go in there and make sure you're overlapping your layers. And not only that, but you're making sure that the stitches are the right stitches for that design.
This is from Corey Pendergraph. And he says, to use the hashtag #RateMyWork again, use hashtag #RateMyWork if you want to get a critique from us. This is super cool, representing Florida. And you know me, I love nice pictures. A nice picture of your product, especially if you're showing a client, does wonders. So right off the bat, I think they should get at least 1 point for the picture. To me, this looks super clean. I can't see anything wrong with this thing. I would definitely rock this hat. But what do you think?
All right. First thing that I have to say about this is that you're using a Richardson 112. I hope you saw my video, and I bet you did, because this is really good work right here. Not only because I love Florida, but mainly because of how big the design is, how low you were able to bring it, and how nice and tight that 3D puff looks all the way around. You went ahead and switched out your angles on just the blue part. So basically, when he did the underlay, which is the black, then he went over with the blue and he switched out the angle, because if you don't do that, then you'll see the black of that Florida, the inside part, right?
In the blue.
Yeah, so you'll see it kind of like bleeding through the blue. So the fact that you chose to switch the angle lines, you're a professional right off the back. So I'm just going and zooming in as much as I can and trying to find a flaw, and I cannot find not one single flaw. You brought it all the way down as much as you can. You have a big design. You have a great 3D puff. You did some angle work. You have a good amount of density that the black doesn't come out of the blue. And you know, a lot of people don't get these often, but this is a 5-star work right here.
Wow. 5 stars, people. 5 stars. You point out something that I would have never thought about, was like the placement of the design being like super low to the brim. Like, what are some of the challenges that people face when they put designs low to the brim like that?
So a lot of times they get needle breaks because the hat is actually where it gets to the brim. The hat is actually lifted just a little bit, right? And then what happens is that when you're trying to get it there, it kind of moves your needle just a little bit towards the outside, or if you're facing the machine, it'll be pushing the needle a little bit towards you. So in that case, you'd have to do some adjustments. You have to lower your cap driver, lower your presser foot, maybe even once it gets to the area, maybe even lower your speed just a tiny bit. So there is a lot to do with it. And not only that, but the hooping in general, it's very important when you're trying to get that low. So either one, you probably had a Gen 2 when you did this, and that's why you're able to get even lower than any other regular hoops. But you could also achieve this with a regular hoop as long as you hoop it perfectly. I mean, there's videos that we've done on that, and for those of you who want to see those videos, scroll down to the description below.
All right, let's go on to the next one. This is from Jaime Blanco. He says, getting more familiar with my machine, digitizing whenever I do get to work on it. This is the first project that I ran over 800 stitches per minute. I'm going for 1,000 stitches per minute. Birthday gift for somebody who loves to cook. What do you guys think? He digitized it himself, he designed it himself, and he stitched it out himself. All right, let me take a close look at this. Again, this is just coming from sort of a customer's perspective. There's nothing that comes out and sticks out to me as like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with this. So, I mean, the only thing that I could potentially say is there's maybe some gaps in between where the 3D puff meets the, or where the letters meet the complex fill in the background, and there's kind of like a rogue piece of yellow complex fill there.
All right, so the first thing that came to mind is 800 stitches a minute. Congratulations for getting there, and if you were able to get there, you're definitely gonna be able to go to 1,000 stitches a minute. But now getting into the actual design, let me go ahead and zoom in. You're right off the back when you're looking at this, I think this is a perfect gift because, I mean, then again, it is a gift, and it looks nice. The colors really stand out. You used 4 different colors. But now, I do have some things, now that I'm zooming in, I do have some things that I would like to say. So, the first one is on the first letter to the second letter, the P going to the O, there is a line going across. Now, a lot of customers do that when they don't want the machine to stop and trim and stop and trim because it takes some time. So what they do is that they clean it towards the end, right? So either one, The cleanup wasn't done all the way, perfectly, as you can see the line right there. But if you did see it and you think it's okay, I get that a lot too. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of it. When there is a gap, I like to cut the thread. It just looks a lot, it looks very neat when you're doing that. And you could tell that for people who do know and they look at this, they're like, wow, this is real nice. Now, if you go and scroll over to the other side, when you're going from the E to the F, you also have another little line right there, right? Now, this one is not as bad because it is a little closer. So probably like you, for example, you didn't notice this. So what you could do is instead of ending the E on that lower corner, you could end it on the top right where the E and the F kind of like are really close and they pretty much touch. You could end it there. And you can start the F in that same area. So then it's just one continuous and you don't have any lines in between. So that's one thing. The next thing I do see, and yes, you're right, it does kind of stand out on the letters. There are some that you can kind of like see the yellow bleeding on the edge. And that, what you could do is just switch your angles. So obviously for the letters, you can't do that, but you could probably do that for that yellow underlay. You can kind of just give it just a tiny bit of an angle and you can minimize those. Right after that, the next thing I do have to say is with the blue. In the blue, you could have easily used a satin stitch as a border in certain areas. For example, on the top letter and on the hat area, but at least the top area of the hat, you could have used the satin stitch there as a border. It makes it really stand out. I really recommend it. This is not bad, but you can make it better by doing that. Also, you can use it on the lower letters from the B all the way to the R. So the E, the S, and the H, I would leave it as a regular standard complex fill with some tatami stitches. So that way you get a little bit of that, different types of stitches and borders, and it just really makes it stand out. But this is a great job. This ran at 800 stitches a minute, so congratulations on that. I do recommend to keep pushing yourself to go all the way to 1,000. Some designs, they're good to run at 1,000 stitches a minute. For example, this one, I think that you could have easily ran this at 1,000 stitches a minute, all the way up to the point where the black letters come in, or any type of satin stitch. In that case, then I will lower it down just a tiny bit. But I will give you a 3-star just because of those minor touches on the cleanup. But this is an awesome gift.
Awesome. Great. So let's see what we got next. This one is from Rick Hernandez. Done this one for one of my clients. Need your feedback on it. So let's give some feedback here. This looks great. I love it. It's almost like, Will, you're gonna have to tell me how they actually did this, but it looks like a 3D puff on top of a 3D puff. I know that's probably not how they did that, but it looks really sweet. I do see like some black areas that are sticking out of the red. I'm not sure exactly what those are. So Willie, you're gonna have to comment on this for me. But to me, this looks like a really cool, really nice design.
All right, so yes, there is some black showing on the border of the red. And that is because instead of using a red foam, which in this case you needed to do this, you used a black foam. And that's totally fine. You can probably just get that off by using either a lighter or a heat gun, and that'll probably just go off. Or you could even get a red marker and try to just mark it. But for next time, try using a red foam for that. Now, there's actually something really cool about this. He used a metallic thread on the top. This gold part, this is not regular yellow. This is metallic threads. And metallic threads are a pain. They're super hard to work with. And to do a 3D puff on it and a 3D puff on top of the 3D puff, yeah, that's pretty difficult. So that's amazing that you were able to get that result with that. So what he did do here is he used 2 foams for this. He used one on the first one, but instead of doing the whole thing 3D puff, he just did the border of the S. And then he did another 3D puff and he put the foam in there, maybe even a thicker one. And that's why I was able to stick out a little more. But yeah, this is an awesome job. I love the way it looks. I love the style. I love everything about it except for that black showing on the edge. So I have to give this 4 stars just because of that. It's right there, man.
That's really cool. This is considered like probably like a specialty sort of style, right? The like the double 3D puff or whatever. Yeah. Is it specifically hard, or does it just look harder than it actually is?
I mean, that is not simple whatsoever, because you have double 3D puff, and on top of that, you have metallic threads. So that's not easy at all. This is definitely something that I would give to any customer, and I will put that in your portfolio as well.
All right, Tracy Gray says, Knights of Columbus, these are sample sew-out images of my first detailed work on a cap. Clients are very happy to see it. Finally got a big order for the cap, and I didn't make too many of these caps before she sent them out. Clients are okay with just the one sample, but I think she's worried about maybe like making them in bulk. She's working with the Ricoma MT1501, digitizing by Fernando Alonso. She needs ideas and feedback. So let's take a look here. Yeah, this looks really sharp, really bright. I do see a little bit of registration, just mainly in the red. It looks a little bit off center on the cap, but this could just be a sample. But from like a first glance, if you're kind of like looking not at this too close, it looks really sharp. Like the small lettering is not bad. There's could be some cleanup. I think maybe between the O and the F, there could be some cleanup between the O and the F. But overall, this looks pretty sharp.
So what she says here is that there's somebody else who digitized this. So for the digitizing part of this, I have to give this a 4-star right off the bat. So the issues here are going to be mainly on the hooping. 1, the hooping is off center, and 2, the design is too high. So if you want to give this to your customers, I recommend to practice on your hooping. Give us a call, reach out to us, watch the videos I've made, and I promise you, you're gonna get better at this. So don't give up, okay? Now, what I would do is lower your design just a tiny bit, because it does look a little bit too high, and obviously center it more. So there are things that you could do to make that just a little bit easier on you, okay? Now, this hat is definitely not an easy hat to work with. You could tell this hat is a structured hat, so I could understand why it can go off like that, and that's totally fine. But other than that, the design looks good. It's just work a little bit on your hooping. So another thing that I recommend, and you can always reach out to your digitizer, is try to make this design a little bit bigger. You could actually get it just a tiny bit bigger, because it is a nice design, and on top of that, the hat looks like it has a lot of space. So if you want to make it bigger, you definitely could. You could tell your digitizer that, but I will have to give you 2 stars, and that's because I'm judging you just off the hooping. Digitizing is done pretty good.
So when you're talking about hooping, the hooping will also fix the registration issues, you think?
That is correct, yes.
Or one of the possibilities to fix the registration issues. And we just did a part of our we just did a recent video on cap hooping that we'll put in the card above and the description below. But we go super in depth on cap hooping.
Is that the one we did with the Super Bowl?
I think you're wearing the cap.
Yeah, I am wearing the cap.
Show the people.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna show the people.
It's right there. It's right there.
There we go. Look at that, you're gonna make me take my hat off. So the one that you see that we did the Super Bowl, make sure you check that one out, because we did make it into a challenge.
We made it into a fun video, but in the middle of that video, there's just really in-depth tutorial on how to hoop a cap. So if you're looking for something entertaining to watch it. If you're looking at how to hoop a cap, watch it. All right, this one is from Jumaine. He says, 145,000 stitches. I'm tired. What do y'all think? I mean, that's a lot, right? How long did that take him?
Woo, that's a good like 4 hours, depending on how many trims. And from here, I could see a lot of colors, so you had fun with this one.
Dang. I mean, it definitely was worth it to me. I mean, this thing is freaking amazing looking. So many colors. This is almost like an art piece or something.
Yeah, I mean, 145,000 stitches. That's great. Now you definitely know your machine. So on this design, like you said, yeah, you're right. It's very hard for me to point a finger at anything here just because of that. It's meant to be an art design. Anything could be off and I wouldn't even notice. So this is right off the back ready to give to a customer. I like the way that you mix those satin stitches on the letters with some run stitches going down. That just looks amazing. It looks like somebody sprayed on it, right? So that's an awesome touch you did here. I hope you, I bet he did digitize this whole thing from scratch. That's amazing. So good job on that. If I would have to say anything, would be right on the corner of the crown. It looks like you can kind of see a little bit of the head. Maybe is meant to be there. Like I said, I can't, but that's just something that kind of stands out. But there is one thing that I did zoom in, and that is the stars on the tie. The stars on the tie, they look like on one side is kind of like split on some of them, or it's a little farther apart. Once again, maybe it's meant to be like that. So on this one, it's really hard to put my finger on it. I see everything really nice as well, Tony. So you even added some shade on the face. So that's amazing. I say this is definitely a 5-star. Good job.
2 5-stars in one day.
Wow.
Unbelievable. No, this is super cool.
Yeah.
This is really cool. Yeah, I see
you
the shading.
imagine
I see
that?
the shading, yeah.
Could you imagine that on a wall?
Yeah.
Framed?
It's
So,
super cool.
I would take pictures of that. Make sure you get professional pictures and put it out there.
All right, guys, that does it for our critique. We had fun today. We talked about a lot of stuff. We learned about a lot of stuff. Go to our Facebook group, Embroidery Custom Apparel Mastery. Join up in the group. It's a great community. Everybody's there to help each other, ask questions, ask for critiques. Use that hashtag #RateMyWork. Also, go to our Instagram page. We got a ton of people posting their work. See what kind of trends are out there. Our Instagram has almost 25,000 followers. And if you want a chance to win a 3-month subscription to Hoopmade.com, go to the comments below, join in on the action, give a nice critique, and we'll award the winner who gives the best critique.
And just so you guys know, Hoopmade.com, you can find a bunch of designs in there, and we're always updating them as well. But let's say you don't win this, it's totally fine, because the point of this is to help each other. So write it down in the comments below. Try to help somebody else to become better. And if you guys want to learn something, if you guys want us to explain something, then just write it down in the comments below, and I'll be happy to do so in future videos.
All right, so Willie, until next time, okay?
All right, guys. I'll see you guys next time.
All right, see you guys.